Talking about a little bit about the AFC.
And with
Harrison,
Mahomes'
yeah,
teammate.
Harrison Butker. He recently had a commencement speech. I'm gonna butcher the name probably, but Benedictine College.
Yeah, I think so. I
In
think it's a Catholic.
Kansas. It is.
Is a
It is a
Catholic
Catholic
school.
school.
So, really quick, I'm just going to say this before we're not
yes.
going to get political with it, but we do feel like as Christians, we do have a little bit of differences. It's pretty close. Catholicism and Christianity have a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
But we felt the need to address this a little bit just based off how we want our podcast to be. Yeah. With it having the Christian and Jesus faith at the center of it, how we end it and everything. So this is not going to be a very normal thing. If there's news like this, that's more like personal towards people and maybe even attacking people for whatever they believe. We don't want to get into that. We have our kind of our set faith in what we want to believe and what we want to talk about, but we felt like this was a big thing to kind of go over. So it's all yours.
Yeah, I think it was. There's so much in here, but the highlights I would say, just so we can kind of have a basis to talk on, were like women's role in society.
Yep.
Like the LGBT community was touched on very briefly, but it was very pointed on what he talked about. Yeah, and then he also talked about, I would say, just faith in general. I don't think there was anything too crazy, but those were like the three main things. Yeah. So we'll start with kind of what he said about the women's role, and then we'll kind of talk about it. But he said, this is going to be paraphrased a little bit, but he said, he started with, like, I'll venture to guess that like the women in this audience that are graduating today are going to be most excited about becoming like a mom instead of like pursuing their careers. So he pretty much just said that women should be more focused on being, he said, a homemaker instead of pursuing whatever career they went to college for.
Totally.
So that's his side of it, and then we'll talk about kind of what we think. So I'll let you go, and then I'll respond.
Yeah, I mean, I think women are, and this is hard for a guy to say. Yep. And I think that's something that is a touchy subject. In the Bible and multiple different verses throughout, especially the Old Testament, the man and woman are supposed to leave their family and create
their own.
And create one flesh together. And it does say in the Bible many times that the man is to go work and provide for the family, and the woman is to stay home and provide for the family in that aspect. I think there's a couple different things with this more modern right now. That is, the Old Testament is the old law. The old law has been broken because Jesus died on the cross and saved us from all of our sins. There is a difference like nowadays where, again, we kind of touched on it before with like the whole NIL and everything. You can't, a lot of people cannot live in Washington and in their states without two incomes. So there is that where I think a lot of people say, yes, the woman has to go work just to provide for their family. I can agree, because I think like in Washington, they say right now you have to be making like $120,000 to live comfortably.
Pretty much.
Which is
60 each.
Yeah, which is doable, but that's
fine.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
But I think a mother and a woman's natural want is to give birth, nurture a child, raise a child, protect the child, and hopefully get. Like, I mean, I always think it's funny. Like my mom, she has 5 kids. There's 5 of us in our family, and we're all older now. We're all like in our late 20s or early 30s. She's the most excited for grandkids because I feel like that's just what women are wired to want. They want kids, and they want to be around. They love holding a kid. Yeah. So I think that there's an aspect to the women's, and it's hard because I don't want to call it a job or a role. Yeah. But I always think that they are more comfortable staying at home watching the kids. They like, a lot of women that I know in my life like to clean. They like to make food. They are very good at it. They're way better than I could ever be at it. Yeah. And I'm not trying to say that as like that's the stereotype, but I also understand where people can get kind of grumpy because strong, independent woman, which I have nothing against, you should totally be strong and faithful and know what you want out of life. But I also think that once you get a husband and you guys are that one, then your roles are going to change a little bit. Yeah. And there are relationships that I know where the woman is the breadwinner. She makes a lot more money than the man, and the man stays home and does the work from home. There's nothing wrong with that. I think in the traditional, old law of the Bible and Christianity and even Catholicism, it does say man's supposed to go provide, women should stay home and nurture the kids.
I think the biggest thing for me to notice about this is he said, "I would venture to guess." That is quoted word for word.
Yeah.
So when you take it out of context, sure, you can think he's like anti-feminist, horrible person, but he clearly said, "I would venture to guess."
Yeah.
This is his personal belief. This
100%.
is not what he thinks the nation should be run on. This is not how he thinks everyone should be.
Yep.
He doesn't think every woman should be a mom. He never said that. He said, "I would venture to guess."
That's
what I think frustrates me. Yeah. Like he's saying in his role,
they're taking it out of context.
Like his wife, that's what she does. That's what works for them. But like you just said, that's not.
It's not. It doesn't work for everybody. And the difference, again, you look at their situation. He is a very successful man. Mm-hmm. He makes plenty of money,
and she has the ability to stay home.
They have the ability to do whatever they would like, and that is different for most people nowadays. So I can understand that, and I think in all honesty, if I had the opportunity to stay home and not work, sign me up. Like I understand that kind of that joke or whatever, but yeah, I think I agree with you. I think what he's saying is you might go work for a couple of years, you're going to find someone, settle down, and then you're going to get really excited when that kind of baby fever hits and you want to have kids.
Yeah. This is a generalization. It's not a mandate.
And I think he does use his beliefs to kind of, I don't even want to say he backs it up a lot, but he does talk about it. But yeah, I think it was taken out of context. I think that women should be totally down to do what they would like.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the next part, just what he let me find the quote here. 1 second. But he was talking about the like LGBT community, and he said, where did he say it? Well, I cannot find it now. But he said pretty much there it is. He called it this is paraphrased again, but he said there's an entire month dedicated to that deadly sin. So being June, that's coming up here in a few days, he pretty much just said that it's not okay, which if you do read the Bible word for word, it is pretty clear on that subject. I have my own kind of quick thought about it, so I'll tell you what after you go first.
You got it. You got it.
So honestly, for me, I just feel like a sin is a sin. I don't think that from what I know and what I've learned, I don't think anything is weighted differently.
Yep.
So yes, I personally don't agree with like a person being gay or like lesbian, but honestly, I don't see that any different than like me going and watching this is a terrible example, but going like, yes, like I personally don't see a difference there. It's a sin as a sin. Like I said, I don't agree with it, but I also don't agree with a lot of other things. So
it's such a touchy subject. It's so,
and I do not think the person is inherently bad. I will never say that.
And that's where I think a lot of people
I do not agree with that at all.
Yeah, religious people where if you read the Bible word for word, it does say that. It does say a man sleeping with another man is considered adultery. It does say that in the Old Testament. But we're also called to love
one another.
And I believe that when Jesus comes, he says, you are not here to love. I'm not here to condemn the world, but to spread love and joy. And I think people have taken that out of context to the expect where they're like, oh, well, let's let me love whoever I want. No, he's not saying that. He's just saying, let people do what they would like. You can talk to, tell them about me, give them the idea, give them a Bible, let them read it, see what it's about. It is a tough
subject. Faith is a
subject. Personal decision.
100%. So you can only do so much.
And God also does say that, 1, the majority of people will not be saved. 2, the majority of people that do get saved, you don't see a lot of like your friends and stuff go, right? And then they also say it's the hardest path. It's the there's the straight and there's the wide, and it's easy to go down that way, and then there is this narrow bendy path. Straight, narrow, hard path that's like a one lane, And so I get it. I think how he says it like that is,
he puts it.
It's not. It's just brutal.
On that subject of the narrow gate, it's Matthew 7:13-14. It says, enter by the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and there are many who go in because narrow is the gate and difficult is the way which leads to life, and there are few who find it.
Thanks for listening to the Kind of Athletic podcast. Be sure to follow us on all of our socials and come back next week for next week's episodes.